Hello, teachers. Good morning. This is the Group 11, and we are assigned to report the Filipino cultural heritage. So, before we start, let me introduce to you my group mates. So, first is truly yours, Margin Umbao. Next is teacher Dessa Velarde. And lastly is teacher Carlin Vargas. So, let's start. So, heritage is the designation for places on earth that are of outstanding universal value, while culture is a set of distinctive spiritual, material, intellectual, and emotional features of a society or a social group. These features can be expressed as art, literature, lifestyles, way of living together, traditions, and beliefs. A nation's cultural heritage and natural history are precious and unique. It includes cultural sites, old buildings, temples, landmarks of cultural and historical significance. So, culture and its history are morals, beliefs, and the national goals. They form a person's national identity. It is essential to preserve our cultural heritage to maintain our identity as a nation. The value of cultural heritage isn't in cultural manifestation itself, but in the wealth of experience and skills passed down from generations to generations.
So, what is cultural heritage? So, it is an expression of the ways of living developed by a community and passed on from generation to generation, including customs, practices, places, objects, artistic expressions, and values. It also can be distinguished in built environment, natural environments, and artifacts, and can be intangible or tangible. Cultural heritage is all about cultural preservation, which includes the protection of language, stories, songs, dances, practical skills, buildings, sacred sites, artifacts, art, and crafts' relationship to land and form of subsistence. It involves documenting and studying languages, preserving and restoring historic relics significant to a culture or heritage, and encouraging the preservation and use of indigenous or tribal language and rituals. So, heritage can come in many forms. It's generational inheritance. One may be either tangible or intangible. So, when we say tangible, it refers to the physical artifacts produced, maintained, and transmitted intergenerationally in a society. So, it includes artistic creation, built heritage, such as buildings and monuments, and other physical or tangible products of human creativity that are invested in cultural significance in a society. An example of tangible heritage are artifacts, costumes, weaponry, instruments, books, artworks, and religious items. So, tangible built heritage are church, mosque, schools, government buildings, streets, and parks or monuments. On the other hand, the intangible culture indicates the practices, representation, expressions, knowledge, skills, as well as the instrument, objects, artifacts, and cultural spaces. So, intangible heritage include oral traditions and community bands and languages. So, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, or the UNESCO, is concerned in the protection of world cultural and national heritage, laid out a framework for the preservation and stewardship of major cultural heritage sites across the globe. So it also provides possible infrastructure through which to consider what cultural heritage is monuments, town sites, archaeological sites, and work of art are classified under cultural heritage sites. So in the Philippines, we have different types of cultural heritage. It could be tangible heritage, refers to the totality of cultural property with historical, archival, anthropological, archaeological, artistic, and architectural value with exceptional or traditional production, whether of the Philippine origin or not, including antiques and natural history specimens with significant value.
Next, UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the Philippines. According to the UNESCO, The following are the World Heritage Sites in the Philippines. First, Rice Terraces of the Philippines Cordilleras. Location, Ifugao Province. Year inscribed in UNESCO, 1995. Type, cultural. So topping the list of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites, Philippines is the Cordillera Rice Terraces. It is an outstanding example of an evolved, living cultural landscape that can be traced as far back as 2,000 years ago. While this UNESCO World Heritage Site was built 1,000 years ago, the traditional farming technique is still practiced to this day. That's why the rice terraces of the Philippine Cordilleras are an important part of the Philippine culture and identity. It is also a living testament to the sophistication of pre-colonial Filipinos because the Cordilleras were hardly affected by colonization. Its beauty continues to draw attention. Even the international film industry has noticed, making it a setting for the blockbuster Marvel film Avengers Infinity War. Among the World Heritage Sites in the Philippines, the rice terraces of the Philippine Cordilleras have such a powerful presence that makes them one of the most outstanding places in the country. It also shows the harmony between humankind and environment. Second, Tobataha Reefs Natural Park. Location, Palawan. Year inscribed in UNESCO, 1993, 2009. Type, natural. One of the most remarkable heritage sites in the Philippines is the Tobataha Reefs Natural Park. Most people consider this UNESCO World Heritage Site as every diver's dream as it covers 130,028 hectares, including the North and South Reefs. Tuba Taharip's National Park is one of the Philippines' best diving spots where you can see over 350 species of coral and almost 500 species of fish. The reserve also protects one of the few remaining colonies of breeding seabirds in the region. Every diver's dream as it covers 130,028 hectares, including the North and South Reefs. So let's proceed to the third one, which is Puerto Princesa Subterranean River National Park. So location, Puerto Princesa, Palawan. Year inscribed in UNESCO, 1999. Type, natural. So Puerto Princesa Subterranean River National Park is one of the world's most impressive cave systems. What makes it to the UNESCO World Heritage Sites Philippines is its uniquely and impressive features of spectacular limestone, karst landscapes, pristine natural beauty, and intact old growth forests and distinctive wildlife. With an underground river measuring up to 8.2 kilometers longest in the world. The highlight of the heritage site, Puerto Princesa Subterranean River National Park, is that it flows directly into the sea, with its brackish lower half subjected to tidal influence, distinguishing it as a significant natural global phenomenon. So let's proceed to the fourth one, which is historic city of Vigan. Location, Ilocos Sur. Year inscribed in UNESCO, 1999. Type, cultural. Established in the 16th century, Vigan is the best preserved example of a planned Spanish colonial town in the Asia according to UNESCO. One of the reasons for its inclusions is the cultural heritage sites in the Philippines is that its architecture reflects the coming together of cultural elements from elsewhere in the Philippines, from China and from Europe, resulting in a culture and townscape that have no parallel anywhere in East and Southeast Asia. Next to Manila and Cebu, Vigan was the third most important city during the height of the Spanish colonial era in the 18th and 19th centuries. Vigan was the center of the Spanish colonial power in northern Luzon. The range of structures along the plazas and streets reveals the story of the town. The large buildings evoke political or religious power. Grand homes speak of wealth, while others show more modest means, and cobblestone streets speak of history. This World Heritage Site is a living testament to the Spanish colonial era that exerts a strong cultural influence on the modern Philippine nation. So let's proceed to the fifth one, which is the Church of San Agustin in Manila. Location: Intramuros, Manila. Year inscribed in UNESCO 1993. Type: cultural. Remarkable features such as retablos, altars of high Baroque style and wall buttresses separating crypto collateral chapels. What makes this heritage site unique in its ceiling paintings in the Trump Lowell style? San Agustin Church, built between um, 1587 and 1606, is considered the oldest and longest standing church in the country. The church was the only structure left intact in the Intramuros during World War II. So the sixth one is Church of San Agustin, Paoway or Payaway, Ilocos Norte. So location: Payaway, Ilocos Norte. Year inscribed in UNESCO 1993. Type: cultural. Church of San Agustin or Payaway Church is known for its extravagant coral block buttresses and ornate stone finials. The construction of this World Heritage Site began in 1604 and was completed in 1710. Its coral stone bell tower, standing at some distance from the church, was finished in the second half of the 18th century. Philippine bell towers were constructed at a distance from the main church structure to avoid its falling on the church during earthquakes. Payaway Church bell tower have been used as a Filipino watchtower during the 1898 uprising against the Spaniards. This is one of the most notable earthquake baroque structure in the country, where the primary concern was to design the church for earthquake protection. Being one of UNESCO's World Heritage Sites in the Philippines, Payaway Church has become a top tourist destination in the region. So the seventh one is the Church of Nuestra Señora de la Asunción, Santa Maria, Ilocos Sur. So the location is Santa Maria, Ilocos Sur. Year inscribed in UNESCO 1993. Type: cultural. So built in 1965, the Church of Nuestra Señora de la Asunción exhibits a monumental brick facade and reinforced walls to protect it against earthquakes. Its appearance evokes a Mediterranean hill town, the only example of such in the Philippines. Its key features include a 85-step stairway that leads to a carving of the Virgin Mary atop a tree, and a bell tower which was added in 1810. The power and simplicity of its geometric forms and its location. Example: peripheral Baroque architecture. So the eighth one is Church of Santo Tomas de Villanueva, Miagao, Iloilo. So location: Miagao, Iloilo. Year inscribed in UNESCO 1993. Type: cultural. It is among the best examples of the fortress Baroque style in the country. Built of local yellow-orange sandstone, the church stands on the highest elevation of the town and was completed in 1797. The church withstood typhoons and earthquakes and was burned twice. First was during the revolution against Spain in 1898, and the second was during the Philippine-American War. Filipino master carvers incised the church entire surface. The Church of Santo Tomas de Villanueva is one of the best examples of the fusion of the Western Baroque style is embellished with Filipino folk motifs. With that being said, it's not surprising why this church is among the UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the Philippines. So the ninth one is Mount Hamigitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary. Location: Davao Oriental. Year inscribed in UNESCO 2014. Type: natural. This mountain in Davao Oriental is home to 1,380 threatened and endemic species of animals and plants. One exciting thing about visiting Mount Hamigitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary is the sightings of rare animals such as the Philippine eagle, the flying fox, tarsier, and civet. Mount Hamigitan Wildlife Sanctuary is an important environmental treasure and the only heritage site in the region. So, according to UNESCO, among the top reasons for Mount Hamigitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary's inclusion in the list of heritage sites in the Philippines is because it represents a complete, substantially intact, and highly diverse mountain ecosystem in a significant biogeographic region of the Philippines.
Now let's proceed to intangible heritage. So the Philippines is rich in traditions, rituals, and practices that form a part of society or the country and its people. They are called intangible cultural heritage. It's not an understatement to say that intangible cultural heritage is an essential ingredient in healthy communities and sustainable development. But what is intangible cultural heritage in a way? The easiest way to understand it is to recall what each word means to its own. Heritage is something that is passed down through generation, and culture refers to the values, traditions, and identities, and intangible means impossible to touch. Putting those words back together, intangible cultural heritage refers to the traditions and living expressions that are transmitted from one generation to the next. You can think of it as a living heritage. Example includes the community gatherings, oral traditions, songs, knowledge of natural spaces, healing traditions, foods, holidays, beliefs, cultural practices, skills of making handicrafts, method of agriculture, and cattle breeding, traditional navigation skills, cooking skills and winery, and etc. Elements of this heritage are integral part to life in both rural and urban areas, as well as among indigenous people. Intangible cultural heritage is traditional, contemporary, and living at the same time. It is inclusive, representative, and community based. The following are some of the known intangible cultural heritage in the Philippines. First, we have the Darangin epic of Maranao people of Lake Lanao. So it is an ancient epic song that encompasses the wealth of knowledge of the Maranao people who live in the Lake Lanao region of Mindanao. So this southernmost island of the Philippines archipelago is the traditional homeland of the Maranao and one of the country's three main Muslim groups. So it comprises 17 cycles and has a total of 72,000 lines, and it is considered by many Maranao to be an integral part of their cultural heritage. So performers must possess a prodigious memory, improvisation skills, and knowledge of customary law and genealogy. So the following tendency to embrace mainstream of Filipino lifestyle may represent a threat to the survival of this ancient epic. Second, we have the Hudhud chants of the Ifugao. So it consists of narrative chants traditionally performed by the Ifugao community, which is well known for its rice terraces extending over the highlands of the northern island of the Philippine archipelago. So it is practiced during the rice sowing season, at harvest time, at funeral wakes, and rituals. So it comprises more than 200 chants, each divided into 40 episodes. So the language of the stories abounds in figurative expressions and repetitions and employs metonymy, metaphor, and onomatopoeia, rendering transcription very difficult. So the chants tells about ancestral heroes, customary law, religious beliefs, and traditional practices and reflects the importance of rice cultivation. Next, we have Biag ni Lamang. So it is an Ilocano epic poem believed that have originated in pre-colonial times. It tells the story of Lamang's life from avenging his father's murders, to being eaten by the water monster Burkakan, to being reborn and living happily ever after with his love in his Kanoyan. So it reflects many of the values and beliefs of the Ilocano people, including loyalty, hard work, and the importance of family. It is notable for being the first Philippine folk epic to be recorded in the written form and was one of only two folk epics documented during the Philippine Spanish colonial period, along with the Bicolano epic of Handyong. Next, we have the Sinulog dance. So the word Sinulog means graceful dance, wherein it all started in 1980 with a simple dance that represent the sulog or current of a river in Cebu. So with the celebration evolution, the Sinulog festival has become a month-long tradition in Cebu. So historical accounts say that before Portuguese navigator came to Cebu on April 7, 1521 in order to plant the cross on its shore and claim the country for the King of Spain, Sinulog was already danced by the natives in honor of their wooden idols and anitos. Next, we have pagpag. So the term pagpag is so far the most known Filipino superstition during wakes. It means to shake off. So the local term resembles the belief that the deceased may follow the visitors of its wakes at their respective houses. So it is generally believed that spirits, both good and bad, lurk around the dead and can bring bad luck to the visitors. Next, we have hilot. It is an ancient Filipino art of healing. So it uses manipulation and massage to achieve the treatment outcome, although techniques differ from one practitioner to another. It emerged from the shamanic tradition of the ancient Filipinos with healers, considering their practice as derived from their calling, from visions, or from being born by breach. Historically, before the advent of modern medicine, the manghihilot was the primary health caregiver of the Filipino community. A major belief of the practice is that most illnesses and pains result from imbalances in the body. So it is part of the traditional, ancient culture of Filipinos. And Filipinos in ancient times regarded hilot as a miracle art of therapy. And because of the deeper understanding of the ability of that kind of care, people still believe in this miracle method.
So now let's have content and context analysis. Number one, for its content, the Philippines culture is shaped by its archipelagic geography, topography, and physical location within maritime Southeast Asia, all of which define the cultural histories of the country's 175 ethno-linguistics groups. And its context, the warm tropical temperatures, beautiful landscape, and breathtaking scenery make the Philippines one of a kind. It is no wonder that people from so many countries have settled on the islands. The people of the Republic of the Philippines are proud of their heritage and culture. Number two, for its content, cultural heritage is the heritage we have inherited, our legacy, our memories, physical places, object and intangible beliefs and practices, and so much more. In its context, cultural heritage is central to protecting our sense of who we are. It gives us an irrefutable connection to the past, to certain social values, beliefs, customs, and traditions that allows us to identify ourselves with others and deepen our sense of unity, belonging, and national pride. Number three, for its content, the culture of the Philippines comprises a blend of traditional Filipino and Spanish Catholic traditions. With influences from America and other parts of Asia, the Filipinos are family oriented and often religious with an appreciation for art, fashion, music, and food. For its context, the Philippines is a country that has varied cultural influences. Most of these influences are results of previous colonization, deriving mainly from the culture of Spain and the United States. Despite all of these influences, the old Asian culture of Filipinos has been retained and are clearly seen in their way of life, beliefs, and customs. Number four, For its content, heritage can come in many forms. It's generational inheritance. One may be either tangible or intangible. For its context, cultural heritage is a fairly broad term that can apply to both the tangible, physical places and objects we can touch, and the intangible stories, songs, and celebrations we experience in the moment. Tangible and intangible cultural heritage are often deeply intertwined and they cannot be fully separated. Number 5, for its content, both tangible and intangible cultures are important to communities and individuals. Even in this globalized world, we take our values and culture wherever we go. We have to recognize the importance of both and preserve all facets of culture. This is what makes our world beautiful, diverse, and interesting. For its context, it gives us an irrefutable connection to the past, to certain social values, beliefs, customs, and traditions that allow us to identify ourselves with others and deepen our sense of unity, belonging, and national pride. Number 6, for its content, the Philippines has a lot of unique architectural style of the colonial churches, which is a reinterpretation of European Baroque by Chinese and Philippine craftsmen. For its context, the oldest churches in the Philippines are a symbol of the country's colonial past. Their sturdy stone walls and ornate altars talk about centuries of worship, veneration, wars, and deaths. As a Catholic country, it is not surprising that the country has a number of historic churches. Number 7, for its content, with its lush jungles, white sand beaches, caves, dive sites, and unspoiled nature, Palawan is one of the major draws for tourism in the Philippines. Located in the western Philippines, it is a long but narrow strip of land base known for some of the best beaches and marine life you will see in Southeast Asia. For its context, the Philippines is located in a region called the Coral Triangle, an area of exceptional importance as it is recognized as the global center for marine biodiversity. Within this region, the Philippines is also known as the center of this center. The marine resources are made of coral reefs, seagrass beds, seaweeds, invertebrates, fisheries, and many others. Palawan has great beautiful tourist spots that have been very popular today. Palawan, one of the best places to visit in the Philippines, is consistently ranked as one of the best islands in the world, and for a good reason. It boasts white sand beaches and islands, clear blue waters, a spectacular variety of marine life and shipwreck sites, and majestic towering limestone cliff. With that, it has helped the Philippines and the Palawan economy growth and also makes it more popular because of its natural beauty that catches the eye of the people who see it. Number 8, for its content, when it comes to natural beauty, the Philippines is the place to be with our extensive mountain ranges, most diverse reef system, 600 species of birds, and coastline of more than 15,000 kilometers. There is plenty to explore. For its context, the Philippines is located east of Vietnam and north of Indonesia and is composed of 7,641 islands, which can be divided into three main island groups: Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Some islands have become bustling cosmopolitan cities, such as the capital Manila, Cebu, and Davao, while others, such as Siargao and Leyte, are more remote and tropical, offering something for every type of traveler. Number 9, for its content, Philippines has many intangible cultures that have survived to the present day. The Rangin theme, which we might infer is mythological heroes, is also Maranao history. And for the Hudhud chant, it features ancestral heroes, religious rituals, and ancient traditions. Additionally, the topic of Biag ni Lamang is dedication, hard work, and family-oriented people. For its context, it reveals how important are the creative expression to the life of the community and culture in the Philippines. We can say that Filipinos are also imaginative, creative when it comes to cultural beliefs which has impacted people in the Philippines. This has been honed from time to time and is until now being practiced by the Filipinos. Number 10, for its content, Philippines has a lot of superstition beliefs, half belief or practice for which there appears to be no rational substance. Those who use the term imply that they have certain knowledge or superior evidence for their own scientific, philosophical, or religious convictions. For its context, superstitions were widespread before the dawn of civilization when science had not advanced. Thus, ignorance of the primitive people and the resultant growth of superstition were the direct outcome of the lack of scientific advancement and enlightenment. People always tend to be the superstitious. Number 11, for its content, most early Filipinos believe in worshiping different gods, creatures, and spirits. They appease them through various practices, sacrifices, and rituals. For its context, Filipino are taught by the elders to follow what is said, to give honor and respect to our ancestors, which are roots wherein all the superstitions that are still known in the present started. Believing in superstitions can be one of the basic traditions that is taught to us Filipinos while growing up. Abad 1995. Superstitious beliefs might be strange, weird, and even unbelievable because they are not based on science but based on our ancestors' history and culture. It is believed that many people believe in this since they oftentimes serve as a warning for possible dangers that may harm us. Therefore, cultural heritage is all about cultural preservation, which includes the protection of language, stories, songs, dances, practical skills, buildings, sacred sites, artifacts, arts, and crafts, relationships to land and form of subsistence. It involves documenting and studying languages, preserving and restoring historic relics significant to a culture or heritage, and encouraging the preservation and use of indigenous or tribal language and rituals. Philippines has a lot of cultures, superstition, old churches, and most especially beautiful natures that you can go with your family or friends. With the island that has thousands of its with corresponding beautiful nature attractions like native animals, beautiful caves, seas, and underwater scenery that could capture your heart dramatically. In conclusion, we must preserve our culture and see to it that it is passed on to future generations, for it is our source of identity and it molds our way of life. It is essential to preserve our culture heritage to maintain our identity as a nation. The value of cultural heritage isn't in cultural manifestation itself, but in the wealth of experience and skills passed down from generation to generation. And that would be all. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Have a great day.